A top aide to Vladimir Putin has hit back sharply at President Zelensky's call for a 2-month ceasefire. Moscow, in a counter-move, proposed a one-day truce on Ukraine's election day. Moscow revives idea of placing Ukraine under temporary UN control.
But we can also give ceasefire for Russians if they will do elections in Russia.
Zelensky's Munich dare backfiring on Ukraine amid raging war. A top aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin has extended what he calls a significant offer to Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky, even as the relentless Russia-Ukraine war shows no sign of slowing down. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin reiterated Moscow's earlier proposal for an election-day ceasefire in Ukraine. Galuzin went further, accusing Kyiv of deliberately avoiding national elections, and publicly branding President Zelensky as an illegitimate leader whose mandate no longer holds legal or moral authority. Mikhail Galuzin said, and I quote, "Of course, Russian President Vladimir Putin's statements remain relevant. But, as I earlier noted, there is no talk yet of the practical organization of voting in Ukraine. I would like to draw attention to our experience. In March 2024, presidential elections were held in Russia, and polling stations, even taking into account the ongoing military operations, were opened in close proximity to the combat zone. Kyiv tried every way possible to disrupt the electoral process in the frontline regions, not shying away from resorting to terrorist means and sabotage. However, it proved unable to achieve its goal. Russia will not stoop to Kyiv's practices and will allow the people of Ukraine to fully exercise their constitutionally enshrined electoral rights and independently determine the future development of their country." Unquote. Mikhail Galuzin also floated a bold and controversial proposal, calling for a period of temporary external rule in Ukraine, overseen by the United Nations or an international authority. Moscow claims this idea isn't new. The Kremlin had first suggested a similar form of external governance immediately after President Zelensky's official term expired in 2024. At that time, however, Zelensky firmly rejected the proposal, citing the continuation of martial law across the country and insisting that holding national elections amid a full-scale war was impossible. Mikhail Galuzin said, and I quote, "The idea of introducing external governance in Ukraine under the auspices of the UN after the completion of the special military operation is not new." In March 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that, in the case of Ukraine, the establishment of an external administration under the auspices of the UN is one of the possible options. Such precedents have occurred within the framework of the World Organization's peacekeeping activities. In general, Russia is ready to discuss with the United States, European and other countries the possibility of introducing temporary external governance in Kyiv. Such a step would make it possible to hold democratic elections in Ukraine, bring to power a capable government with which a full-fledged peace treaty could be signed, along with legitimate documents on future interstate cooperation. Unquote. Galuzin's sharp remarks came shortly after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed world leaders at the Munich Security Conference, one of the most high-profile diplomatic gatherings of the year. In his speech, Zelensky said Ukraine would consider holding national elections only after at least 2 full months of complete ceasefire, ensuring that the country could vote safely without constant Russian shelling. In a jab at Russia, he went on to add that Kyiv might even be willing to announce its own temporary truce for Russian forces, but only if Moscow were to hold transparent and legitimate elections on its side as well.
Presidential elections and a referendum on a peace deal, that you're prepared to announce that even potentially by the end of this month. True or false?
Something new for me. First of all, of course, nobody supports elections during the war. It's something strange. I said it about so many times. Then I said, if American side will push this signal, I'm ready to show that we are ready for this. Okay, give us, I'm very honest, give us 2 months of ceasefire, we will go to elections. That's it. Give us ceasefire, give us security infrastructure. Maybe not 2 months, but we need a lot of days to prepare. Then give us possibility, our soldiers, to vote, how they can, defend our lives, our country, and at the same moment to vote. This is something difficult. Even not, this is strange, it's something very difficult, and I don't know who has such experience. We don't have it. And we can't compare. Sometimes I heard, sometimes I heard, yes, we had elections in the United States during Lincoln's time and etc. How we can compare it. We have missiles. Our people under missiles. It's not just land war. A lot of missiles. We're under ballistic attacks. So give us ceasefire. President Trump can do it. Push Putin, make ceasefire, then our parliament will change the law and we will go to elections. If they need them, if Americans need elections in Ukraine, and if Russians need elections in Ukraine, we are open for this.
Secretary General,
But we can also give ceasefire for Russians if they will do elections in Russia.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.